Sleep Token Sundowning is the band's debut album and the beginning of the tragic and heartbreaking trilogy that follows. This was the album I discovered this band with, so it holds a very special place in my heart. Plus, it has one of my favourite songs of theirs. Join me as we adventure through love, pain and worship as we descend into Sundowning. Let's start with how I'm approaching this trilogy. I see it as the tale of an unhealthy relationship between Vessel and Sleep, who is a woman he personifies as a goddess. Across these albums we watch this relationship grow, collapse, twist and break apart as the lovers wrestle with pain, pleasure and devotion. While I'll link all the tracks back to this story, it is important to remember Sleep Token's music is very open to interpretation. The way you connect with it personally may be completely different to me, and that's just part of the magic. If you've been here before, yes, I have broken this down once already. However, my perspective has shifted and I've noticed new details with a little help from the comments from before that I cannot wait to share with you all. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the other 3 albums that will follow. Now then, let's dive headfirst into Sundowning. The album title Sundowning is actually a term used to describe a phenomenon often seen in individuals with dementia, particularly Alzheimer's disease. It describes when their symptoms become more pronounced in the late afternoon, evening or night. We enter this track with the keyboard repeating the same 3 notes before adding a 4th in after a few repetitions. Before you know it, 50 seconds have passed and the opening lyrics capture Sundowning perfectly. When you live by daylight with angels at your side. Vessel can't seem to finish his sentence properly here. In the context of the album, I see this as Vessel thinking clearly during the day. In the light, he has an understanding of where he stands in the relationship. However, as the night falls, his vision clouds and his emotions take the wheel. And you remember everything only till the sun recedes once again. These lines solidify that he understands where he stands clearly during the day, yet he's susceptible to her spell at night. The night comes down like heaven. This line is repeated 7 times as the music slowly builds around it with every repetition. Because of the potential that he sees in their relationship, the repetition is Vessel trying to convince himself that he prefers the night, all because he feels closer to her then. The whites of your eyes turn black in the low light, and turning divine we tangle endlessly. Like lovers entwined, I know for the last time, you will not be mine, so give me the night. The night, the night. This is the first time we see Vessel perceiving this woman as a goddess on this album, but we did see it briefly on the previous EP too. Vessel knows fine well that his feelings are not mutual, but that doesn't stop the craving of just one night. There's 2 ways to see this. Either Vessel wants that one night to prove his worth to his lover, or he's settling for scraps because something is better than nothing. Either way, it comes across desperate and honestly a little heartbreaking. But this isn't even close to the lows we venture to later in the album. Right after these lyrics, the instrumental kicks back in again as we get another 8 repetitions of the night comes down like heaven. The most interesting part here is on the final 4 repetitions we have the first half of that final verse in the background again, as we hear, the whites of your eyes turn black in the low light, and turning divine we tangle endlessly. All of these carry the same meaning as before, so no need to cover them again. After the delivery of our final lyrics, the music cuts and we are left with just those 3 tones from the start all over again. As you would expect, after a few repetitions, that 4th note joins in once again, as this track becomes a perfect cycle, just like Sundowning itself. Keep that in mind as we move on to the next track. Now we have the first example of a Sleep Token signature trait, a long track with far fewer lyrics than you would expect. Very few artists can pull this off, but Sleep Token manage it effortlessly. The song opens with an enchanting keyboard passage before the heavier, metal-infused energy that we love from the band smashes its way through. And you are a garden entwined with all. You are the silence on sacred shores. These lyrics here are delivered slowly, in a taunting and almost teasing manner. These are some gorgeous opening lyrics. Vessel is describing how close he feels with his lover and how peaceful he feels when they're together. This is almost making the relationship sound good here, but not for long. You've got diamonds for teeth, my love, so take a bite of me. Just once I want to turn the page once again. Take a bite. This line alone is essential Sleep Token for me. Beauty and elegance colliding with savagery and brutality. It's a perfect reflection of the contradictions of life. Vessel knows she is beautiful and he wants her to give in and be with him. Take that bite and see how he tastes. since he believes he tastes just right to her. This balance between beauty and savagery, along with pain and pleasure, are two interconnected themes we consistently revisit. This is a given, an offering in your favour, a sacrifice in your name, but I know you've got a taste, so just take a bite of me. These lines define this track, as they are the heart and soul of what he is trying to say. Vessel feeds into this mysterious woman's ego. He follows this up by teasing her that there's more where that comes from if she would just commit to him, or as Vessel loves to put it once again, take that bite. This entire song is Vessel talking, asking that question of his lover, but he's met with only silence. Eventually, towards the end of the song, Vessel lets his frustration slip, portrayed perfectly through the music. The lyrics stop for a moment, and the music begins to build, before we get a much more angry repetition of the take a bite line, which is followed by a breakdown. This isn't just filler. It's a brutal window straight into Vessel's head. Frustration, obsession, and devotion all tangled up in one anthemic offering. We move from the huge ending of the last song into the next, carried gently by a tender piano. Lyrically, this track catches us off guard with where our story is at. I can lift you up. Your body is mostly blood. Like water, a perfect flood, engulfing me again. Here, for the first time, we see Vessel humanising her, trying to convince himself that they are equals. And I can tell you won't remember my cracking bones, the trauma we can't regrow, just as you leave again. No. Vessel is far from perfect. Anything but, actually. His cracks are showing here. Cracks that were formed in this very relationship. Let's see if we can figure out why. Will you levitate up where the angels inhabit? Will you levitate where I won't reach you? You can feel Vessel slipping away again here, back into the vicious cycle. Any sense of being equal is gone, and we are right back to where we started. He believes that once she sees her worth, she will rise above him and be out of his reach in every way. And we imitate a story of perfect days. A ballad we fabricate as you forget your words again. They're trying to hold up this image of a perfect relationship, but it's all lies. The reality behind the scenes is that she cannot keep it up, as the mask slips time and time again, revealing the messy toxicity that lies behind it. And is that all you need? To merely pretend to be falling in love with me? Forgetting the agony again. Once again, we see Vessel realising the mess that he's trapped himself in. He realises she's using his devotion to her as a bandage for her own insecurities, but he doesn't have the strength to walk away. Throughout this song, the music in the background is slowly building until we get the final repetitions of Will You Levitate. That low leads to a quiet acceptance. Deep down, he already knows the answer. Vessel's emotions finally start flooding out, carried by a beautiful, grand instrumental that feels like a massive exhale after bottling it all up. Sleep Token have turned their instrumentals and storytelling into an art form. It's not easy to know when to go all out and when to go halfway and still have it hit like a truck, but Sleep Token have had this down from the early days. Let's see how it develops on the next track. Here we get a glimpse into Vessel's past, the regularly mentioned man he was before he fell in love with this woman. We enter on some deep synth tones, layered with a higher pitched electronic wails. This is followed by our opening lyrics over that deep synth. Where I was raised there was no streetlights, just pitch black and passing headlights. And when we met there must have been dark signs, omens in your skies. This is a valuable insight into Vessel's mind before the woman, as we do see that things were not all that great in his mind before. However, even in meeting her, she wasn't a beacon of light in his world of darkness, but merely somebody else bringing their own omens to Vessel's table. Most days you reach for safety, remain calm, forget that you know me, and when we met I could see dark signs, alarm bells in your eyes. Now Vessel's lover looks to him for safety, yet publicly refuses to associate with him. He saw the warning signs early doors, but he mistook them for passion instead of what they were. The deep synth goes and is replaced by the gentle thumping of a drum for the first chorus. And I miss the man I was the moment we left off, and I hate who I have become every time I wake up. This is a clever callback to our opening track, with two references intertwined into one. Vessel is once again missing the man he was before he met this woman, but also referencing that he seems to have some sort of clarity during the day which get clouded in emotions at night. This phenomenon could also explain some of the flipping between seeing what's happening yet falling deeper every time. I won't break and bend to my basic need to be loved and close to somebody. This is sneakily hidden in the backing vocals of the chorus, but it's a simple summary of why Vessel is putting himself through this. He's actively trying to convince convince himself not to give in to this temptation, reminiscing of the man he was before and wanting to get back to that person. The brutal part of this story is she knows exactly why he is there and keeps giving him just enough of what he wants to keep leading him along. Then we're treated to our second verse, where things take a bit of a twist, both lyrically and musically. The music shifts to an almost rap style instrumental and lyrics come through. And if you saw the marks on my dashboard, the new scars I didn't ask for, and would you call asking for answers, tear my arms off. This is an interesting part for me as I see it different to most. For me, the marks on the dashboard are not literal, but instead are symbolic of pain that is impossible to ignore. It's right there in front of them both every time they look ahead. He didn't want any of the harm that came upon him, but he had no choice. She questions this hurt, but Vessel doesn't care how he feels, only about her. This leads us into another pre-chorus before that rap style beat cuts and we get our second chorus identical to the last. This is where things get really interesting as the music goes quiet for a moment and we get another chorus, but this time it is much bigger sonically and without the backing vocals. This really feels like a worthy climax to what we have been building on this track, as we get to feel how desperate Vessel is to return to that man he was before. The repetition really hammers home just how lost this man is. Vessel confirms the message of this track as he repeats, "When we met, I could see dark signs," as if he is in total disbelief he fell for all this in the first place. It truly is tragic, as he is in far too deep to return to that past self. Combine that with him trying to convince himself I won't break and bend to my basic need to be loved and close to somebody running in the background, and we see exactly where Vessel's head is at as we move in to the next track. This is where the story gets really interesting, as we get a switch of perspective and some insight into how the woman is perceiving this relationship. "You say you won't begin again, capitulate and let me in, cause I am a fire and you are dry as bone." She wastes no time here, as the manipulation goes from 0 to 100 instantly, an immediate threat. Given this is our first introduction to her perspective, it really shows just how vindictive and manipulative she truly is. "You are taking your time, you're killing me slow." Did we miss a few chapters here? As from what we've been hearing from Vessel, this is the exact opposite of their relationship. She believes Vessel is slowly killing her, but that's all just manipulation so she can get more out of him. And I know we instigate, go back and forth, lacerate. The gaslighting here is unbelievable, as she is convincing Vessel that he is as much to blame for these conflicts as she is. That doesn't quite line up with everything we've had from Vessel's side so far, so I've got my doubts. "Cause you can remember only when you're alone. I'm granting you more than the debt that I owe." Here she shows awareness of his two different mindsets and chooses to prey on the weaker one by saying that when he's thinking clearly, he knows she is putting more effort into the relationship than he is, which is again not adding up with his side of the story at all. Following on from this, we get our chorus, which I love, because I look for scarlet and you look for ultraviolet, and we're exhausted by all this pretending, we just can't resist the violence. I am obsessed with the scarlet and ultraviolet line here, as for me, it's actually showing some self-awareness. She's going for blood in these fights we're talking about, whereas he is looking to make everything better again. Despite this, they just can't seem to stop fighting. And you need a melody, I only need the silence. But each time we battle, the blood and the fury takes us a little higher. This is where it seriously starts sounding crazy. She's suggesting that it's him that wants to fight when she just wants peace. Her reasoning behind that is even more insane, as she's claiming the fights pull them closer together, which is exactly what Vessel would want. Then we have our second verse, where it just gets worse and worse for Vessel. "With all that you believe, you still refuse to shelter me." This links us back to the second line of this track, where she is asking to be taken in again. Vessel is showing some kind of resistance here, and she doesn't like it. She doesn't accept that though. Instead, she brings out every trick she has in her little book of control to try and get him right where she wants him. "Because I am a danger and you're a long way from home. You're one among many, but you're now on your own." This woman is very much aware she is dangerous, and she chooses to use that threateningly against Vessel. She reminds Vessel he has moved away from his family and friends, and that she is all he has right now. A classic manipulator move right there. "And I hate the way you look at me when I am not understood. Because you can remember only when you're alone. I am granting you more than the debt that I owe." She is really laying into Vessel here. She hates it when Vessel shows any kind of resistance. She just wants him to be her obedient little Vessel that she can use however she wants. She even repeats how she ended that last verse really emphasising how heartless she is as a manipulator. We now have a brief bridge where the woman threatens Vessel once again. At this point, it's hard to even count how many times she's threatened him. You won't begin again. This time, the threat is more of a taunt. She's telling Vessel he doesn't have the guts to leave her and start over again. This takes us to one final chorus just to really drive it home. She does want to be with him, but only under her own strict terms. Musically, this song's actually sounded quite happy in nature, but that's all about to change. It's as if she has had a friendly facade to keep Vessel on side, but it's time for a shift. She is ready to put her foot down on her prey and finish the job that she started. We get a chant-like repetition of the debt that I owe, which builds a little more after each and every repetition, until after the 7th repetition, it explodes into life. This is probably the heaviest part of this album so far, as we're treated to a gorgeous heavier metal breakdown. After around 10 seconds of it, we get an incredible harsh vocal rendition of the debt that I owe, before this explosive breakdown sees us out of this track. If you're enjoying this breakdown, it'd be amazing if you could leave a like and subscribe, as it helps the channel out massively and makes it possible to keep these breakdowns coming. Let's go ahead and earn it by continuing the breakdown with Take Aim. As we return to Vessel's point of view, we see him cowering from the threats and manipulation from the previous track. He's once again placing her on that deity pedestal that he loves so much. Wait, won't you wait for me? Don't you bathe in rivers? Don't you feel alive? Vessel is pleading to have any kind of relevance in her life, searching for mutual ground, but they can't quite seem to find it. And when I see you waking up, and it sends me shivers, how you love like weapons kill. When that doesn't work, he transitions to showering her with praise, including yet another violent metaphor. These feelings that Vessel is expressing are a combination of his genuine, pure adoration for her, and the fear from her threats just amplifying these thoughts. The chorus doesn't make this any better for Vessel either, so take aim at me for once. Just take aim, break me apart. This is brutal to hear. Vessel is literally begging for her to use him however she pleases. Call when you call out my name, like a curse on this world, like a battle cry. This is painfully desperate. He would give anything for her just to call his name, just to feel even for a second like he is wanted by this woman. And you make me hate myself, make me tear my body, make me yearn for your embrace. Here is Vessel once again showing his awareness. He clearly knows exactly what she's going to do to him, but he doesn't care. He just wants to be loved by her. The chorus echoes once again as the music builds and we get on to our outro. And you know I'll be yours when the moment is perfect. I will fire and forget till we both lay broken. And you know I'll be yours, just want to be worth it. I will run like the wind till you follow me again. This may be Vessel's lowest moment yet. He's desperately begging and pleading for her to take him in any way she wants, just so he can feel like he is important to her in any way, shape or form. Little word of advice, this is not healthy and will never be worth it. True love is never conditional and it should not have to be begged for. The right person will love you for you. I'd love to say it gets better, but I'm not going to insult your intelligence. So let's just join Vessel in the pits for the next track. We ended the last song on Desperate Please and we're picking up right where we left off. Even more desperate pleas. You take the dark and carve me out a home. I picture you when you are all alone. I know how we got here. I know how we got here. In Vessel's mind here, he inserts himself into her life more than he actually is. He deludes himself into believing this as his only way he can cope. I am the shadow, you are the passenger. I am the intake of breath so sharp and I know you better. Just want to know you better. Vessel isn't even aiming to be the centre of her attention right now. He is happy and content existing in the background while she is with other people, all in an attempt to get to know her better. Now it's time for the chorus, where we get a little more clarity on Vessel's motives. If you want to give, then give me all that you can give, all your dark impulses, and if you want to give me anything, then give. Give in again. Here we are again, more begging and pleading. Vessel is so desperate for her to just commit to him. He wants to know every last bit of her, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He wants to see it all. We get a brief ambient pause to process what we've heard before we're right back at it again with the second verse. I'll tear the fibre from the filament. I'll be the limit of your light again. I want to taste you better. I want to taste you better. This seems quite graphic, but it's actually really romantic. Vessel wants to intricately take apart this woman simply so he can understand everything about her. Weirdly cute if you ask me. I will be watching for your enemies, to let them know that they contend with me. I want to know you're out there. I want to know you're out there. Vessel is putting himself right in the firing line here, willing to defend his lover from those who are against her. It's really sweet and all for the right person, but energy like this has to go both ways. which it really isn't at the moment. Another repetition of the chorus follows, but with a critical change. It repeats lyrically exactly as it did before, with if you want to give, then give me all that you can give, all your darkest impulses, and if you want to give me anything, then give in again. However, this chorus is not complete. Instead, it loops through again with a twist. I just want to give you all that I can give, all my darkest impulses, and if you want to give me anything, then give in again. He not only wants her to let him in to see every aspect of her, but he wants her to see every aspect of him too. At least Vessel doesn't have double standards. That won't help him here though, as all this begging is met with no response. Instead, we're taken into a bridge. In this open warfare, I won't fight fair. No, I won't fight fair. Vessel is willing to do anything for her here. He will even compromise his own morals and fight dirty if he has to. And in your waking moments, I will be there. I will be there. This one is definitely verging on a little creepy here, but what Vessel is trying to say is he will be there for her whenever she needs. Yet again though, there's still no response from the woman, as we get a repetition of both the chorus and the flipped chorus before this song comes to its climax. Will we ever get the answer to all these questions? Will this woman ever just give in and allow Vessel's love to flourish? We have a perspective shift coming, so let's find out. So we get the perspective switch, but no answer to any question from the previous track. Instead, we have a little bit of how the woman got to where she is. The first thing that you'll notice when you listen to this song is it's the heaviest song on this album by a mile. Whenever there's screaming in music, it typically comes back to one of two core emotions, pain or anger. It can definitely be both, but if you listen to enough music with screaming, you may eventually be able to tell the difference. The screaming here is pure, unfiltered anger. I see the gods avert their gaze from me. My fucking form is but a wreck beneath me, and there are always people I can call on. It's all so easy for me. When the woman is among people who she sees as equals, like her peers, she is actually the weakest of the lot. However, she knows that right below her, there is a load of people vying for her attention. It feels as though a lot of this pain and anger in these flashbacks could have came from these enemies we heard mentioned in the previous song. No more taking chances, no more teeth to bite with. No more smiling faces, I am alone again. This shows how weak she really feels when amongst her peers. This causes her to feel alone, however she knows she can regain some strength by going back to Vessel to take more from him. You wanna talk? You wanna talk it out? Cause the joke's on me and I'm laughing too. When she goes to Vessel, he offers to talk about things, but she's too embarrassed to do so. Instead, she just laughs it off and channels the pain into asserting her power on those who she can. You want to watch me bleed? Cause I bleed so well. It's all so easy for me. She's directly addressing Vessel again, asking if he wants to watch her suffer in these situations. She only finds it easy because she knows she always has her outlet to come back to. Vessel. After these lyrics, the music slows right down and we get a more gentle, enchanting sounding track coming through. Before we get to our first non-scream lyrics of this track. And do you like the way it feels, like fire from the heavens, carving past the surface into you? This is quite dark, as the woman is taunting Vessel here, turning his devotion into a cruel punishment. She understands how it feels to be weak, and as she starts making him feel weak, she looks him in the eye and asks, do you like that? And do you like the way it feels, like fire from the heavens, tearing me asunder beside you? She really wants to hammer this home, in a sense convincing Vessel he likes this feeling, and he wants her to use him more. This is really heartbreaking, as we aren't even done. Once she's done feeding off him, she gets up and gloats, feeling powerful again as she screams back out into heavier instrumental once again. It's all so easy for me. This feels like some kind of anime villain after winning a duel here, but the reality of the situation is she gets a kick out of feeling stronger than Vessel. Sad, but true. This may be it for this track, but we do stay with the woman's perspective again as we finally get the answers to our questions from before. Sugar opens with instrumentals that sound straight out of a video game. And as I just mentioned, our answer to give is finally here. Let's see what she has to say. And you play a twisted little game, but I know in a way you need to complicate. Here we see the woman seems to be seeing right through all of Vessel's attempts to get her to commit to him. This isn't a no though. Believe that though we never eat, we still know how to feed. We still know how to bleed. Here we have hunger without nourishment. She feeds off Vessel, but it doesn't actually sustain her. The only thing they know how to do well with each other is pain. They can fight and keep going as things are, but they have never changed. The chorus, however, is a little change to that tune. Sugar, I've developed a taste for you now. Here we discover that Vessel's efforts were not in vain, but in fact she did get a little taste and she liked it more than she thought. This line is repeated 4 times as if she can't even believe she's saying it herself. Before we get into our second verse. My arms keep you in the room, barely let you move. show me what you do. For all she liked that taste she got, the woman is resetting the balance here by ensuring he knows that she is in control. She does, however, give him a chance to prove himself here. Tonight, we're second guessed again. Let me wrap the chains, addicted to the pain. She still isn't certain though. She liked the taste, but still doesn't see Vessel as on her level. She's trying to tighten her grip on him once again here, as she is confessing that she loves the turmoil that their relationship brings. Another repetition of the chorus follows as the woman is still in disbelief at her feelings. There's yet another twist in this tale though, as the bridge really switches things up. Until now, the music had been quite happy and lovey-dovey, but now it begins to intensify. Do you want to see how far it goes? Do you want to test me now, my love? You must be crazy if you think that I will give in so easily. The woman realises her weakness and tries to flip the tables again. She rises up and challenges Vessel here. Does he really want all of her? Is he ready to see what that looks like? She still isn't done though. Things we buried low coming to the surface now, my love. You must be crazy if you think that I will give up the game. As we know by now, this couple has a history. She's ready to bring it all back up. She is addicted to these back and forth games that they play. The woman is really losing her mind now, as the music takes a chaotic twist. We get another repetition of the chorus, but this time in a maniacal kind of scream. She doesn't know how to feel, but she does know how to scare Vessel. The woman realises what she is doing though, and in an almost psychopathic instant swaps back to a normal delivery for the final chorus of this track, which sees us out. If I was Vessel here, I'd be running for the hills. But for all he doesn't do that, he's not entirely convinced by this new change of heart, as we come to find out on the next track. Here we see a return to Vessel's point of view, but he doesn't trust this newfound change of heart from the woman here. Is that a word you said, my love, or just a gesture in tongues? Well, I live to guess your sorrow and you live to empty my lungs. Here we can see that immediate doubt, asking her if this is real or just another manipulative gesture to lure him in even deeper. And you've got me up in a frenzy again, and I know you're planning to leave in the end. This pre-chorus is a really sad reality check. Vessel recognises he is in deep, yet also knows fine well her heart is not truly in it. The question is, what side will he listen to? And if you've been paying attention, you can probably guess. Won't you say that you will, that the impulse to love and the instinct to kill entangle to one? Here we go again. We have another reference to love and killing together, similar to Take Aim. The difference is this time he's directly asking for that killer instinct to be mixed in with her love. In this light you are mine, till the sweat turns to blood. Won't you say that you will, even if you won't? Ouch. This one hits home. Vessel can see them together, but his efforts are collapsing in pure pain. More importantly though, we do see acceptance from Vessel again. He knows she really isn't in this, yet he's so desperate for her love, he's asking her to fake. The music begins to build a little as the second verse rings through. Oh, is that a glint in your eye? Is that a blade in your palm? Vessel can sense that killer instinct of hers from a mile away. The issue is, even though he can sense her intent, he cannot help but try to find exactly what he's looking for, which isn't there. Well, I am yours tonight, so will you lay in my arms? Vessel is throwing himself at her again, but still having to ask for any kind of commitment back. For the right person, Vessel's a true romantic, but for the wrong person, he's far too easy to use. This gets us back into the pre-chorus and chorus again, which is repeated twice, but this time it feels different. The music simmers on the verge of boiling over, perfectly capturing the mounting tension in this track, and it does. Right after the final line of the second chorus, we get a crushing metal breakdown as Vessel lets out more of his frustrations. He cries out for love only to be met with a cold silence consistently. He puts it all on the line no matter what, yet each time the silence he faces feels colder than the last. The heavy music continues as Vessel repeats one line 6 times to let it all out before the close of this track. You've got me up in a frenzy again. Vessel is hating himself for being so under her spell, which is understandable given how she treats him. I wish I could say this is his lowest for the trilogy here, but we haven't even reached the lowest point of this album yet. That's saved for the very end. Vessel has one more gut-wrenching card up his sleeve before we get there though, and it's anything but filler. This is a very unique song in Sleep Token's catalogue, in which I would say the general sound created here is actually more important than the lyrics. Every single lyric in this song is delivered very slowly and in a haunting tone. And I know the angels tonight are as lost as I am to merely behold you, as we lie down together. The frustration from the previous track is gone, and we are left with the unrelenting devotion that Vessel has for this woman. This track is pure obsession and worship, which is not looking good for Vessel, and it only gets worse as we go into the chorus. Drag me under again, deep into your love. This summarises this song easily. Vessel is helpless at this point. He just wants to be close to her no matter what the consequences of that are. With how slow this delivery is, it makes him seem even weaker than we've seen him already, which is saying something. And I know the gods will abandon the heavens just to find us, to merely behold you as we lie down together. Vessel believes others will see her exactly how he does, and the other elites of society will take them in as a power couple too. This is a cute idea, but the reality is he's killing himself slowly here, even as he repeats his devotion in the chorus once again. The third verse doesn't follow the same structure though. Instead, it's one final beg from Vessel. Hold me beneath the surface, deep into your love. This is very literal here, as Vessel wants to drown in her. This along with, and I know the angels tonight are lost for words, as I am, to merely behold you as we lie down together. And the background of this part really hammers it home. This song is a sacrifice. Vessel is giving his entire existence over to her. This is a dark place to be leaving this story on for now, even though there's one track left. We'll pick up from here on the next album, but for now, let's explore Bloodsport. We have made it to the final and in my opinion, best song on this album. The final song on each of the first 3 albums are a summary of exactly where we are at this point. Shut yourselves in, as this is a deep cut. I want to roll the numbers, I want to feel my stars align again, even if the earth breaks like burnt skin and the heavens just won't open up for me. This is probably the strongest we've seen Vessel's desire to go back to the man he was before. He doesn't care what it means for his future, he just wants to be taken back now. Would you invite me in again? Won't you pay for your arrogance? Won't you show me your weakness? Here we see the uncertainty. He wants to go and try and find the man he was before, but also wants to see if she will still be there for him if his journey doesn't go the way he hopes it will. I made loving you a blood sport. I made loving you a blood sport. I made loving you a blood sport. I can't win. This is tragic, as we see the acceptance of the fact that Vessel knows no matter what he does, he will not win in this relationship. I made loving you a blood sport. I made loving you a blood sport. I made loving you a blood sport. I can't win, so let's play. Just when you thought it was going to repeat twice, Vessel sneaks one more line in at the end. He doesn't care that there is no winning, he still wants a chance at loving this woman. As a beautiful piano solo builds us into the next verse, we hear Vessel's voice at its most hurt, as his rasp really allows you to feel his pain. And somewhere the atoms stopped fusing. I'm still your favourite regret, you're still my weapon of choosing. The lyrics match the pain in his voice perfectly, as he feels as though his universe has stopped functioning. We also see the difference in what they mean to each other, with Vessel singing about how she is his everything, whereas to her, he's merely a vessel that she will live to regret. And out there stuck in a quantum pattern, tangled with what I never said, you said it doesn't matter. Vessel is overthinking the fact that he never said the right thing to his lover, even though it seems like he never could. I want to be forgiven. I want to choke up chunks of my own sins, even if the sky cracks in morning and the heavens just won't open up for me. Here we see some self-hatred slipping in from Vessel. He hates how he has allowed himself to end up in this situation, and hates himself even more for wanting to keep falling in deeper and deeper. Just like before, in his moments of doubt, Vessel goes back to those same questions again, but with a little twist. Would you invite me in again? Let me pay for my arrogance. Won't you show me your weakness? This time the arrogance line has been flipped. He's now asking, if I come back, can you give me the chance to make up for thinking I could leave you? She is on a pedestal, he's down in the mud, and there is no hint of changing that. This leads us into one final chorus, but this time with the driving instrumentals hammering home how Vessel has been feeling the entire time. Sprinkle in the second verse in the background here, and it is emotional perfection. Just in case that didn't hit enough for you, the music cuts right at the end, and all emphasis falls on the final line. You said it doesn't matter. Without a care in the world, she just tosses that devotion away like it was nothing. After he's finished delivering these heart-wrenching lyrics, we hear a gentle sob from Vessel, which is a perfect summary of this album and where we are in this toxic relationship. So there we have it. We have survived the highly emotional debut album from Sleep Token. But don't run away just yet though. Not only have I already broken down both the EPs, including 2 which you can see on the screen now, but I'll also be breaking down all of the albums with added perspective from where I did them before. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss those. While you're down there, why not leave a like too, and let me know what your favourite track from Sundowning is. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, goodbye.